My name is John Mendez, and this is going to be my presentation on inquiry-based learning presentation for class SEC 530 with Dr. Mizzo. First off, we'll be going over the state standards. What are the state standards? The state standards are used to help teachers within the areas of interest that help promote learning as a guide for teachers within a specific grade level. Within these grade levels, teachers can use these standards to identify certain aspects of learning by identifying them using what the state recommends by covering a wide variety of academic lessons. Using these standards, teachers will be able to identify the areas they are presenting to their students and provide information that students will have to understand and how they fit specific goals of learning. Now, why is this important? The standards are important because they provide a foundation of information that teachers will be able to identify what they are presenting to their students and share that information with them to help them learn the differences in their learning abilities. For teachers to present these standards to their students, the students need to find the surface laying information needed to identify what process they will need to be covering within the lesson as students progress within the lesson. They will have the ability to go deeper within the subject as they are able to identify similarities of the information, therefore moving toward the final stages of the using of the material and finding how they relate to their personal beliefs. Not only will this help identify personal beliefs, but this will also help them to identify the relation as it comes through in like current events, that are ranging experiences that they may have learned. What purpose do they hold? The purpose that the standards hold are the fundamental formulas that teachers can use to help them identify the lessons, like social studies, where they are given 5 areas of concern. These areas are skills and processes, civics, economics, geographies, and history. Each of these areas are broken down to identify learning stages that allow for teachers to set up their lesson, using these skills toward helping them as their students understand the lessons as they are presented, as they become presented to the students. Going over learning objectives. What is a learning objective? A learning objective is the introduction of providing students information and the expectations that they are to follow to exceed within the lesson that they are being assigned. This is given to students in a way of an introduction into an assignment that they are becoming prepared to begin or that part of the day. What is this for and how can it be used? Teachers use this the learning objective to provide the necessary information that is needed to help students understand what they need to accomplish within their learning abilities. Not only will it help, but it also serves as a roadmap per se By breaking down the information for students as they prepare their lessons, how can this help me teach? This can help teachers provide students the foundation that they will need to succeed within their lessons and provide the necessary information to what students will need toward keeping students engaged within learning in the classroom. Teachers may also use this as a classroom management scenario to keep students in line as they may drift off or become disengaged with the lesson. Teachers may rely on the learning objective to help students stay focused and stay focused with what they are learning. Cross-disciplinary inquiry-based instructions. Cross-disciplinary inquiry-based instructions are used to engage students one deeper level of understanding what they are engaged within the lesson, providing students with a set of instructions that are for them to follow as guidelines within the lesson. Students are able to follow as these guidelines and help them within their lessons. How can this be used? This will become implemented with the use of the learning objectives by providing the guidelines for the lesson as the students will need to follow as they become engaged. And using cross-disciplinary IBIs or inquiry-based instructions, students can research the information that will provide the most relevant information relating to their lesson, and they begin to identify the evidence they are researching. What is the purpose of using it? The purpose of using this is to allow the teacher to assess their students and visually and verbally hear how their students collaborate with the information they are working on and how they are to use the information that they have gathered to create a thesis within a specific subject. Much like in social studies, it is here that students have the ability to use the knowledge that they have gained over a period and learn to identify and process the information they have gained into what from within their working lessons. Inquiry-based learning. What is inquiry-based learning? Inquiry-based learning is the teaching of students toward understanding the material that is presented to them toward developing skills from within that lesson that is provided to the student by the teacher. It is here that students begin the process of understanding by taking in new information and helping them develop their learning skills and gaining new information. How can this help? How can using this help in the classroom? By providing students the ability to understand material and helping them provide them with the guidance and support in the learning of new elements and help students learn to progress in their knowledge that is presented to them. With every lesson learned, students receive and are gaining knowledge and taking that information that they did not even know about. It is here that teachers can provide students with new skills that will stay with their learning abilities as they progress in their academics. Meaning that when we provide new learning skills to students, these skills will become embedded within the students and they will begin to understand and process these new learning skills as they progress on to different learning levels. What is the purpose of using it? The purpose of this is easy. As teachers, we are providing students with knowledge that they did not know and providing them with a field of references toward helping them understand how to research and developing skills within the boundaries of education relating to their specific grade level. This is important because, especially when it comes to research, we have to provide students with a step-by-step basis of how they're supposed to research, how they're supposed to find the information and reference it, but it's also important that they also cite that work. Rationale for humanities. What is rationale for humanities? Rationale for humanities is to help those understand the cultural differences that are within the classroom. It also helps with the development skills of students to understand the lessons provided to them within the structure of their grade level and critical learning skills. How can this help me as a teacher? This helps by allowing teachers to become creative in the classroom about events, places, and the events that have happened around the world. With the use of social studies courses, as teachers teach, it is this material and how teachers interact with their students to get their attention with the material that is new and exciting to them. It is here that teachers can use these elements relating to the lessons to allow for students to engage and understand the full spectrum of historical references that attracts the student's attention. And how can I use this to teach my students? Using this to teach students is about being creative, about the lesson that will attract the student's attention by wanting to take in more information and relating to the information to represent events and provide similar and different perspectives of learning. The rationale for humanities is about the ability to take something and express it with empathy, and to provide aspects of differences in diversity and cultural differences relating to students and within their community. Inquiry-based learning experience. Excuse me. What is an inquiry-based learning experience? Well, this happens to be a learning of ideas that are cross fields where collaboration, work together with teaching and research in helping the students understand the importance of understanding how to facilitate and analyze data as students begin to understand the research information. It is the active learning that teachers help students understand as they learn about the importance of identifying subjects within a course of study to identify the similarities and the differences in interdisciplinary understanding. What is the purpose of using it? The purpose of using it, this happens to help students understand the lesson as they begin to be challenged in what they are learning, meaning to stimulate their minds to think more about the findings of the solutions within the research and to create a better understanding for what they are learning. This also helps assess their abilities and their understanding of their work, as a teacher can observe their ability to focus on the lessons being researched. And how can this be used? This can be used in a variety of ways, using inquiry-based lessons that can help students as they research the necessary information as they are learning to prioritize the information and analyze what they are learning. Students begin to learn about the questions that they are looking for and build upon that knowledge that relates to the questions to a final solution using the information that they have gathered from their research. Uh, here are some. Here I'll talk about some digital examples. Digital examples. What are digital examples? Digital examples that can be used within inquiry-based learning can be a form, like in the form of blogs, where students can ask questions about a specific subject or create a post that can provide feedback in a variety of sources. Other digital examples allow students to research about a topic when a teacher is giving a lecture. This will allow for students the curiosity to build, to look up information within a search engine to find out what the source or and source and produce a belief or idea or question about the subject that they are learning about. How can this help my students? This will allow students to use a curiosity to research what they are learning and provide answers about what they have gained or learning or even writing about within a subject, especially when it comes from a vlog. This will also allow for them to learn from others' feedback, to expand their knowledge as they begin to understand the subject, meaning the students will have the ability to gain knowledge from not just their peers or their teachers, but from outside resources. Using these blogs, this opens students' ability to communicate in a broad sense. What role can this present and what is the relevance? This presents students with the ability to broaden their knowledge as they process the ideas that they find and produce arguments or informative solutions about a topic. The relevance of this is to the students understanding that there are many other ways to identify solutions as they learn to research the process and provide information to support their evidence. Implementing real-world inquiry learning methods. What is implementing real-world inquiry learning methods? Real-world inquiry learning is the ability to identify learning methods with real-life methods that happen within a similar method of learning. When learning about history is not just teaching students about the events that have happened in the past. It is teaching them about the events in the past that relate to the events that happened yesterday, today, and tomorrow. How can this be used in the classroom? Well, one way that this can be used in the classroom with students is using a method such as current events. Identify current events that happen around the world and finding events that relate to the past and explaining how the two have a similarity and the significance of how these events happen. What is the purpose of using it? The purpose of teaching this is to provide students with the knowledge that events from history become a landmark of the present day. Though it may not be exactly there is as a similarity of how events happen, and to give students the knowledge of what goes on around them, meaning there are things that happen from the past and as history has a way of explaining it, that things from the past happen in the present, and there are times that where we do not learn from past experiences. So a lot of times the past comes up and catches up with the present. So that I accidentally went a little too far ahead of myself. Um, what positive solutions come from it? When students are motivated to learn about their abilities to understand, provides the ability to take in the information that is needed from the lesson and retain that information. Meaning students, when you provide something that's going to excite those students in learning and want to learn about, there's a lot of those things that actually stay with the student. And how can fostering ownership help in learning? Fostering ownership in learning is the motivation that teachers provide in students to want to learn and succeed. This helps the students to master their lessons and understand the fundamental aspects of the lessons to progress and create a strong achievement goal of learning even more. These are my references that I had used for my presentation. I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and I thank you very much.